function, the only thing we're adding is now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same element. Let's get rid of that, fix it here as well. And we want to get the database ID, and what we're going to do is this line here. What we're going to do is we're going to post to this page, which I'll take a look at here in a second. We're going to post the database ID. ID equals database ID. You see I created that as a variable there. And then the votes is current votes. And what I'm basically doing is saying, take this record in the database and update it with this information. But I'm not doing that on this page. I'm sending this information to the YPC post vote. This is very similar to what you did way back in HTML 101 when you sent something to a form processing page. Okay? What we're doing here is we're updating your element in the database right here. Each one of these has an ID number, okay? And we're updating that ID. So let's take a look at that page. Okay, very simple code. This says get into the database, and this is the SQL code for an update. And it says update hit tracking, which is the name of the table, and I want you to set this field in the database to whatever we sent it, and we sent it votes. And it's important that you're not going to work with this specifically, but it's important that you're sending it, because you're sending it text, you have to put a quotes there. And then where the results ID, which is the database ID, is equal to the ID that we sent it. Don't worry about this. This is something that we use to prevent people from sending bad code. So what you're basically saying is where the ID is the ID we send it, set this value to this, and update the database with it. Okay? And in so doing that, we update the database. So now let's go back, and I think we're here. Vote for it permanent. All right. So now let's see how that works. Vote for it permanent, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Save work, show web page. All right. So the same thing. Now what I do is I put my name, Mike, and I say I want to vote for Little Frazier. Vote. Now it does all the same stuff here, but behind the scenes, it updates the database. All right. So now let's take a look at it. We see Mike for vote. Now he should, if I go into my list of elements here and I click show array, take a look at Little Frazier, and under votes, you see now I have Mike. All right? So now that database is permanently changed. Now, for us, the challenge/problem is that you don't have access to the database like that, so you have to still get your array. But now that information is saved. You have to update it manually. Like if you want the new array, then you have to grab it here and update. So how could you get that information dynamically into your site? That's going to be with what we call a get. So posts and gets are how you're sending information up to the database, bringing information back down from the database. So I added a function, very simple, called, it's a function called show data, but don't worry about that. The key element here is that, you know how we did a post? Here, we do a get. And what that says is when I run this function, I want to go to this page, and I want to get whatever's on that page, I want to bring it back. Okay, so you can really, if you have a file somewhere, you can store your information on that file and bring it back. So let's take a look at what that page looks like, YPC vote display. All right, so what I've done here is I've just created, this is the query that basically gets your table. Okay, this is what you've already done this. Select from the KB tracking, type, and then it just is keyed to your student ID. So anything that you've put on your table, and then I've just generated it like this, CF output query projects, and I don't have any code or anything like that. I just have the title, the text, and then the number of votes. Now if we wanted to, we could make that something that has IDs on it that you can use and modify so that you could have a dynamically generated site. All right, but I'm not sure if we want to do that. If you have a specific project that you would like to work on, where you want to do that, talk with me and I can create a custom page for you. But this is where we're going to start to diverge because you have to code things specifically on the back end, and you don't have back end access to my database, which is a challenge. But the way we're getting around that right now is we're enabling you to create your own arrays here. All right. So what you do is you do *.get and then indicate this as the page that you're going to, and then the comma, which means that this is what's coming back. You want to bring back the data. This is just a variable, data. So whatever is on that page is brought back. And then what I have here is I'm alerting it, and then I am replacing, I'm putting the data into this div tag show votes right here. Okay, so I added this div show votes right here. Okay, so now let's see how that works. Okay, so I can create my list, and I can do this right now. I can just click get data and watch what happens. I press the button, it's now going to the site, and it pulls up in an alert the information that's on the site. So it's dynamic. I'm not leaving the page. I'm doing it all behind the scenes. It's going out and grabbing that information and bringing it back. Okay? And then I also have it so it not just alerts me, but you see it just displays this here. So lots of things you can do, but what all I really wanted to do with this lesson, and really these first few lessons, was show you how you can enter information into a database, and then with this you can update the database dynamically without leaving the page, and that's important for like voting and that kind of thing, and then bring the information back. So what I'm going to probably have you do is think about a project that you might want to do that uses that, and if I need to custom build a page that can handle that, that's fine. But I wanted to do this, and then we're going to move on and just do some stuff locally on your computer, because other than some custom stuff, this might be pretty challenging. But what I wanted you to do is understand that there is a back-end thing called a database, that you can use SQL in order to pull information out of the database, and then you can use gets and posts to communicate with other pages. All right. One of the ways we use this, if you've done our stock market challenge, I reach out to Yahoo or Google or something like that, and I get their stock information and I pull it back into the stock challenge, right? So there's lots of places around the web where people are posting information, and you can go get that information if you know what the page is and how to read it. All right, so this is just an introduction thing to understand how the database interaction works, and I wanted to show you how to do posts and gets. So what I want you to do is first just temporarily vote by modifying the array. That's some basic stuff that you're already familiar with. Then I want you to do the permanent posting by posting. Very important. I waste a lot of time posting. Just follow the code. It's very hard behind the scenes when you're doing a post. If anything's wrong, it's very hard to see. So the way you're going to see that is by then doing the get afterwards and seeing, did my vote get registered? Okay, so that's what you want to do. I'll leave you the sample code here so that you can see how it works, and then I'll start you off with some basic code, but that's what I want you to do, and then we'll move on and maybe do some fun stuff with some graphics and HTML5.